Elderly couple evicted after they claim own son transferred home they've been making payments on for 20 years. Now, funny enough, if I was like one of these like elderly parents, I probably would say what is exactly on my shirt because this just happens to be like the perfect shirt for like a response, right? It's like, nope, not today. Like that would be my response to be trying to get like getting evicted by my own son. Like, holy crap. So, a California couple claims they were evicted from the home they've been living in and making payments on over the last 2 decades as their son transferred ownership to someone else behind their backs. Ismael and Angelita Ramirez have been living in the same Fresno house for 20 years, making payments and raising their family, and were shocked when they received an eviction notice in April. Every month we were paying $700 a month, Ismael Ramirez told Fox 26. We thought, why did our boy do that to us if he knew the house was ours? The house, however, wasn't officially the Ramirez as their name was never put on the deed. And this is the thing that people need to understand. If your name is not on the deed to the home, you have no say. Even if you have a mortgage to the home, like you're like, let me put it this way. Let's say that you got a boyfriend and girlfriend situation and they bought a house together, right? Let's say the boyfriend has his name on the deed to the home, but the mortgage is in the name of the girlfriend, right? To my knowledge, that boyfriend has 100% say as to what happens with that home. So let's say those two break up. Well, she's still in charge of, well, basically responsible for the mortgage, but he has 100% say as to what happens, meaning that he could just kick her out, prevent her from ever entering there. But if she doesn't pay the bill, she's screwed, not him. Because technically speaking, he could technically just sell the home, get money for the home, but she still owes that loan. So like it gets really, really weird and crazy. Like this is why you gotta be super, super careful when it comes to ownership in terms of like buying property with family, etc. Like it gets really weird. Like, and by the way, this is like a side note, but if you are looking to buy like a residence, like a primary residence, you should try to aim not buying a 30-year mortgage because I don't think people actually realize just how much of a scam buying real estate technically is, especially if you get the higher year mortgages. Because the problem with buying homes for buying homes on like a 30-year mortgage is that like let's say that you basically buy a home for 30 years and let's say that the home costs like 100 grand, right? The reality is by the end of the 30 years you would basically be paying nearly like 100K in interest, right, on a $100,000 home, which is kind of crazy when you really think about it. Because like the way that these like mortgages work is that the longer the term, right, the more money is just spent on interest, not on principal. So like let's say that you got the 30-year mortgage, probably like 15, 20 years of that mortgage is just going straight to interest, not really on the principal. Like a very small amount of money goes to the principal. But let's say that you got a 15-year mortgage or a 10-year mortgage, like it's going to be practically like a 50-50 kind of split, or maybe more on the principal, less on interest. So you're still paying money on the interest, and the rates might be kind of worse in some cases, But in terms of like what you're actually having to spend is so much less. And to be frank, if you're able to buy a home cash, that is the best way to buy a home, to be frank. Because really, if you're buying a primary residence, that is pretty much a liability unless you were to sell it in the future, which who knows if you're actually going to do that. Typically, people will move out within 5 years, but you never know. You might stay in that home for the rest of your life. And if that's the case, it'd be better to buy it as cheap as possible. So, just something to think about. Because I don't think people really like think about the actual running costs of buying a home. Let's see. Da, 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 da. In 2003, the Ramirez were looking for a home with the help of their son, as they didn't speak English. When they found a home they liked, their son signed the title as the sole owner. His parents objected as they also wanted their names to be on the contract, but the son and the seller convinced them it wasn't necessary. So, pretty much, if this is all true, they pretty much got scammed from the very beginning. Meaning, like, for 20 years, they have been getting scammed by their own son. And like to me, it's like out of all the people that you could potentially screw over in your lifetime, you choose to do that to your parents? Out of all people, you choose to screw over your parents. Like to me, like this type of son, like this type of like kid should just be like backhanded to the face. Like this is such a disrespectful thing to do, such a scummy thing to do. I mean, really, the way I view it, if this is all true, I think this type of like backstab scam is worse than the Logan Paul scams, right? Because at least with the Logan Paul scam, he didn't scam his dad or his mom, right? This one, he literally scammed his parents. Like, how much of a scumbag do you gotta be? He told us, they told him it wasn't necessary, and well, since we don't know English, that's where they lied to us, Ismael Ramirez told the outlet. They did not know their son could upend their lives until earlier this year when he transferred ownership of the home to a woman without telling his parents. The same woman who handed them the eviction notice that said they were being kicked out of the house and she was selling the property. Wow. The couple has failed to get legal help because they claim each lawyer declines to take the case once they're told the property's ownership was under the son's name, according to the outlet. See, like that's the thing, right? Whoever owns the home has the right to the home, basically, regardless if there's a mortgage on it or not. Now, you could technically potentially have, like, maybe file like a lien on the home or something like that, but still, like, you really don't got any say. They left us with nothing. Ismail Ramirez said, at the moment, we felt the world was collapsing on top of us, especially since I can't really walk and my wife gets depressed and suffers from high blood pressure over the whole situation. Like again, like if this is true, right? Again, if this is true, I just don't understand how a son could be this much of a scumbag to his parents. Like that's the thing that I just don't understand. Because like if you have like a somewhat healthy relationship, right, with your parents, or if you have like any ounce of love towards your parents, right, this would never even cross your mind. Like, there's something like very off in your brain if you like look at your mom as a son and be like, yeah, I'm gonna completely screw you over. Like, it's mind blowing to me. Like, how could you do that? The son who transferred ownership has not been heard from in over 5 months, Fox 26 reported, with the other son, Ismail Jr., being told he was feeling sick, but being taken care of as he was fine and healthy before he, I guess, gave up ownership of his parents' home. The family has requested police to conduct wellness checks on the man, but they have also not found anything. Now, who knows? There could be some like crazy potential like side story of like some sort of like criminal minds type of like nonsense going on where maybe the lady that like evicted the parents like did some weird like sort of mind controlled like hippie drug control type of thing to like control the guy and she technically like offed him or something. Like there could be something like crazy going on like that, right? Doubt it. I think the son is just like a dick, right? But still, like to me it's just like I just don't understand like as like a son, right? How can you screw over your mom? Like, out of everyone, how can you screw over your mom? While they process the fact they are homeless because of their son, the couple is staying with their daughter, and a GoFundMe was set up by their other children in an attempt to help them get back on their feet. My parents don't deserve this pain that has been inflicted on them, and it hurts us as a family, Fabian Ramirez said on the crowdfunding page. The page has raised nearly $24,000 of the $45,000 goal as of Wednesday morning. I guess, hold on, let me see if they had that GoFundMe. Okay, so they do have the GoFundMe. Interesting. Oh, they actually almost got to their goal. That's not too bad. $37,377 raised, a $45,000 goal. Interesting. Wow. Yeah, a lot of people are like donating like 50 bucks. Ooh, one person did 150 bucks. Wow. That is pretty crazy. Props to all of you who are donating. That's pretty interesting. Oh, very, very interesting. But again, you could just check out their thing if you are wanting more information on this. I just find this to be really sad to see, honestly. So it's Help Ismail and Angelita Ramirez on GoFundMe. Crazy. Like again, feel free to give your thoughts if you stumble upon this. Like, do you know of like a personal story of like a family member or like someone that you just basically know in some context that did something similar to this? Or do you have like a situation where like this happened to you potentially? Like, can you understand some sort of justification for this? Like, because again, to me, like, I just don't know how you could like cross that line of betraying your parents. Let's see some of these comments. My son would do the same to me. Why? What their son did was reprehensible. Whenever you're buying a home, a car, land, or any piece of property, if you want it to be yours, always sign your name and never let a stranger into your home, no matter how desperate their situation seems. They may turn into the next hard to evict squatter. Like, squatter rights are so weird. With a family like this, who needs enemies? Yep. When in doubt, there's always GoFundMe. Like, the only problem with, like, GoFundMes, like, again, like, the reason why I said if this is true is because you just sometimes never know in these types of situations. Like, Because this is like the weird situation, right? Like, you want this to be a true story, but at the same time, you don't because you don't really want this to be the case that these parents got screwed over by their kid, but you technically want the story to be true. It's such a weird thing. I'm not paying $700 per month and not on the deed. They were renting interest at their son. Da, 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 da. Okay. Hmm. Oh, okay. Said that their own son did this. Same thing happened when an uncle of mine took out 3 loans on my dementia suffering grandfather's home. Then asked me to take him in as Gramps would be homeless when the balloon payment came due. Some offspring are just evil. Yeah, that really sucks. You know, that really sucks that like this sort of stuff like happens. You can only trust your 10 friends to your own hands. Yeah. Feel free to give your thoughts on this if you stumble upon this. To me, it's just like this is like such an evil thing to do. Like you got to be like so heartless. Again, if this is true, you got to be so heartless to do this to your own parents. Wow.